Warning, in this video I will be stunning and brave and talk negatively about a From Software game, sometimes, and even teaching people how to activate the easy mode. Keep an open mind. Oh, and extra warning, lots of spoilers. Dark Souls 1. Yeah, it's good, but the PC port is a complete mess. Dark Souls 2. Hey, alright, you improved the combat and movement feels better, but the bosses can be pretty much cheesed by just walking to the left. But dual wielding is awesome. Bloodborne. Really fucking cool world, cool areas, cool as shit weapons, and when you dodge you don't roll, you just jump to the left or right. Which is how it should be. It's cooler, it makes more sense, and feels better. Again, trick swords are the coolest fucking thing ever. A cane that turns into a whip is the dream weapon I never knew I wanted. Dark Souls 3.
Oh god, it's so good. So good. So good and tasty.
Sekiro is the best game Fromsoft has made. Fast movement, the deflecting feels so good, and those cool weapon arts, and the grappling hook. Oh my dear heart can't take it. And they told the story pretty much normally for once and it was good. Elden Ring, open world Dark Souls with horse combat, and a bunch of cool stuff from the other games. Dual wielding, aka power stancing, weapon arts are more of a thing, visceral attacks, but no drop attacks. It was really weird for me the first time I jumped off a cliff to do a drop attack and then just nothing happened. Did I do it wrong? But then I realized it's been replaced with a jumping heavy attack. But let's go to the basics of the gameplay. But before we go further, I have to tell you that yeah, the PC port has been pretty bad. I've had multiple crashes to desktop and my frame rate just going down to give Satan a high five. But these last few days it's been fine, I haven't noticed any problems after I restarted my computer. So yeah, if you're having problems, try turning it off and on again. Gameplay, so it's pretty much the same as Dark Souls, light and heavy attacks, blocking and then a dodge roll. A new thing is guard counters. If you block an attack, you can press R2 to do a counter attack. I didn't use this a lot, but I can see some good applications of it. The L2 has weapon arts, and in all the other games I mostly ignored them, but in this game the weapon arts became my bread and butter at one point. If you have the right weapon arts, you become the boss. You hold L2 and use either a light or heavy attack to get a weapon art variant, and I just started putting more points into mine so that I could use them more. They turned this anal plundering of a game into a cakewalk. You have a dedicated jumping button now. Finally! We have needed this since Dark Souls 1. It just makes the game much less frustrating. So, the horse. He can jump high and makes traversing this huge ass world less of a chore. More on that in a bit. You can attack from the horse, and also with a heavy attack you can drag your sword along the ground, which hits all the enemies you pass by. It was game changing when I realized that. Instead of timing my hits right, I just hold R2 and kill those annoying little packs. Open worlds, they're like battle royales. We've had way too many of them and far too little innovation. Ubisoft has ruined the open world genre for me. If I see a game has an open world, I just think, oh great, 50 to 70 hours of content that is complete garbage, and then like 8 to 10 hours of worthwhile content. Does Elden Ring fall into this pattern? Yes, sometimes, but I would say Elden Ring has that ratio in reverse. So 80 hours of worthwhile stuff and like 10 hours of a waste of time. And that's usually me running around on my horse, not knowing where the hell I should go in this huge ass map. People weren't lying when they said this map was huge, and it even stretches underground. And there are like 20 or more caves and catacombs you are very likely to miss. Some of them are marked on the map, but others will be hidden in a cliff face. It's like Elden Ring features an additional minigame of where the fuck is Waldo, but instead of a strangely dressed man, it's a door or a cave entrance. There is of course lots of open, pretty empty spaces, but Fromsoft did a good job of spreading out noteworthy places so you never spend a long time on your horse without running into something interesting. You can also explore in a way you will easily miss. Like the Academy of Raya Lucaria, you can actually explore the rooftops. There are items there and a long path that will eventually lead to a ladder you can kick down. That is creative map design. Spells are strong. Really strong. Like one-shot bosses strong, and I feel like Elden Ring is trying really hard to push me into throwing some points into intellect or faith, because all the good weapon arts I run into scale with faith or intellect. And of course, really good weapons that scale with faith or intellect. Some scale with arcane, but that's usually for blood weapons. Just to be clear on the stats, vigor for health, mind for your mana, called focus points in the game, strength and dexterity for increasing damage for weapons that scale with them, and faith and intellect for spells. And arcane for blood weapons, that's the most I've seen, but there might be more. Also, arcane makes it more likely that you will find item drops on enemies. Every stat you increase will also increase your defensive stats, some more than others. Your safest bet is vigor for defense. Speaking of defense, some enemies will be flabbergasted at your defense and will do very little damage, and some do reasonable amounts of damage, and then others do not give half of a shit that you have 50 points in vigor and will still shred through you like you're my fancy new gloves and the enemy is my fucking dog. They were a gift from my in-laws, why couldn't you just shred the shitty gloves I've had since I was 15? This goes for the bosses too. Some bosses and enemies are fine and a good challenge without being bullshit. But then you come across the goddamn inflatable arm-flailing tube men that throw 8-hit combos at you that a lot of the time once it hits you, you're pretty much locked into death. Oh, Malenia clipped me with her Atomic Samurai Atomic Slash bullshit? Well, I guess I might as well shove this controller up my ass since it's useless in my hands right now. These spastic flailing arm attacks were fine in Sekiro because you could deflect, but in Elden Ring all my stamina is gone because I'm either dodge rolling to the other side of the arena, or I'm blocking and then my health is also gone. Or I just run away. And before you say it, no, parrying isn't an option because I'm bad at the game. I have played every Souls-like game Fromsoft has made, and Elden Ring is the most frustrating, because all it takes is just one small mistake and then I'm dead. It feels like Elden Ring has really leaned much harder into making enemies just complete bullshit, like one-hit kill attacks and the flailing. And everything does so much damage to you. You need to pump points into vigor just to have a chance. But the game does give you some bullshit of your own, like powerful spells and weapon arts and the summon ashes. If you put a summon sign down in Elden Ring, that shit will get snatched up in a heartbeat, which means your chances of summoning someone is pretty slim. That's where the summon ashes come in. You can just walk into the boss arena and summon a few soldiers or even a mimic tier, which is essentially a clone of you, and you can absolutely pulverize bosses with these summons. And if you have a powerful spell, then, well, you just activated easy mode. I think that's it for the most part with gameplay, but I just want the Bloodborne dodging back. That was the best. Story. So they got George R.R. Martin, the guy that makes dialogue ranging from the amazing Tyrion on trial speech to "Oh, you know nothing, Jon Snow. Fuck me." So I thought, oh, is the story gonna be more straightforward now? Well, yes and no. More straightforward than Dark Souls, less straightforward than Sekiro. You start the game with the usual Fromsoft cinematic of Gremulus the Forgiver started the war by taking the MacGuffin, and then Godgrim laid the salted, plagued the lands. Regulus the Cumslamper closed off the gates or something.
The loathsome dung-eater.
You know, just enough that you kinda know what's going on, but there are a lot of blanks to be filled. So it is kind of the standard FromSoft thing of hunting down item descriptions and voice lines. But that's what VariVidia is here for, so I don't have to do it. But there are quest lines that flesh out the story more. And okay, more spoilers here, specifically Ranni's questline. It's good, it will tell you where to go and kinda what you need to do, but it adds so much to the story, the world, and even just a map. There is a place that I'm pretty sure you can't access unless you do her storyline, but I may be wrong on that. While playing Elden Ring, I barely noticed the story, but after watching a YouTube video explaining the story, I was like, hey, this story is pretty good. And I'm gonna explain the basics of it. Okay, so there is the Elden Ring that keeps this world in order. Marika, a god, made it so that everyone, was immortal. You could become Elden Lord and decide everyone has a dick on their nose. That's kind of how the Elden Ring works. The Elden Ring got split into runes, and these gods or legends took the bigger pieces of these runes and tried to war with each other to take their runes. And no one was successful, and now the war is at a standstill. This is where you come in. You are going to hunt down these legends and take their runes so you can become Elden Lord. In my opinion, this is all you need. Let's talk about the bosses a little more, mainly the big mandatory bosses. Are bosses too hard? Is Elden Ring too hard? Yes and no, absolutely not. So on release day people were shitting themselves over Margit. Is Margit too hard as a beginning boss fight? Yes, but he isn't necessarily supposed to be a beginning boss fight. But the game doesn't communicate that to you the way other games do. And the bosses do so much damage that I pretty much feel under-leveled all the time. And really, Margit is fine because you're supposed to go to other places and explore, and get runes to level up out in the world, and then deal with Margit. And at that point, his moveset really isn't that bad. Godric the Grafted is mostly fine, but his AoE attacks can be a complete bitch to deal with, but most of his other attacks are very manageable. However, once he gets that dragon on his hand, shit gets very fuck. The AoE attacks become more insane, he throws fire everywhere, and then that hammer slam can be pretty hard to gauge the distance for. But still, I think he's fine, and has some pretty exploitable attacks. Like the one where his dragon hand breathes fire, you can just get under it and attack him while he does it. Not too hard. Renala is pretty easy. The only thing that's kinda too much with Renala is that she can summon a dragon, and needing to dodge her spells and a dragon spewing fire everywhere is a little too much. But other than that, she's fine. Like if you just removed the dragon and gave her better attacks, I think the boss would be more fun. Radahn is a piece of shit. He is painful. Almost every attack is one shot, way too big to keep track of, flails around like a 6-year-old having a temper tantrum, and wields heat-seeking missiles. And I do very good damage to him, but if I stay near him longer than 2 seconds, I get hit with a tactical nuke. Or he starts playing a game of whack-a-mole, except if he hits me once, he hits me 30 more times. So yeah, I just used summons and let them take care of it while I sat on my horse. Rykard is a very cool boss. Just because of the Serpent Hunter weapon, it is insanely fun to use. There is nothing Rykard does that stands out to me being bullshit or too weak. It's just a really fun fight. Morgoth is like if Margit took a buttload of cocaine. He is not shy with attack spamming, but compared to Radahn, I find Morgoth manageable, even though I only technically killed Morgoth. I got killed, but my man Tyrone kicked his ass before we got thrown out, so that was cool. The Fire Giant. I didn't fight him because he could be cheesed by making him fall off a cliff, which was just too funny to pass up. He falls off this cliff, hits phase 2, falls again, and dies. Who says Elden Ring is too hard? Malekith. Honestly, I had more trouble with the Draconic Knight outside his door. Fuck that guy and his one-shot lightning. But when I first walked into Malekith's boss room, I fell off the map. That's really fun. The second time I walked into the boss room, I summoned a Mimic tier, and I also had the Sword of Night and Flame. And well, yeah, I just melted that poor boy. The journalists really got their wish, a Souls game with an easy mode. Godfrey, same case as Malekith, Mimic tier and melted him, but from what I saw he doesn't look like too much bullshit. His earth-shaking stuff can be annoying, but you can dodge that, and he seemed very manageable to me. But how would I know? I cheesed him. Radagon has some wild attacks, but yeah, beamed. Elden Beast, so his attacks just cover half of the arena. He throws strong attacks at you that are always pretty big AoEs, with the exemption of some heat-seeking missiles. But yeah, Mimic and beamed, easy game. Mo, Lord of Blood. Miyazaki was personally offended by Dark Souls no-hit runs. So, he gave this boss an attack that is guaranteed to hit you and very likely kill you. He puts a rune on your body and then stabs the roof and you take damage. This attack is a race to find out if you can drink heal flasks faster than he damages you. This was very rude. Other than that, yeah, summons and beamed. Malenia had been killing me a lot, so before I went to her again, I decided to farm some runes. 100,000 runes in less than a minute. That's pretty good. Malenia, the true final boss. She actually is batshit insane. And really only because of 2 attacks in phase 1. Phase 2 is a different case. But she has a grab that's a one-hit kill, and then the other one she just grabs her sword and starts playing Fruit Ninja. God damn, that attack is like an instant injection of maximum anxiety. Your stamina just disappears and you just panic roll. But in phase 1 you can stagger her. So use summons and just gang up on her and beat the shit out of her, because if you don't, she heals herself. Yes, she has lifesteal, so if she damages you, she heals. You do not know true pain until you get her to half health and then she heals to full. Phase 2, and there it is. We found it, boys, the naked girl boss fight. We can pack it up and go home, boys, we're done. Everything said about phase 1 is true here, except this time around she can infect you with Scarlet Rot, which is like poison and it's awful. By the way, any zone that has Scarlet Rot is awful and I hate them. She still does the anime sword slashing attack, but in phase 2 I have a much harder time predicting it, and it's killed me many times. And the thing about Malenia is that she is hard to beam, so you actually have to fight her, unless you use a great bow. You can also use the Frost Stomp. I think it's called Hoarfrost Stomp. I think I saw one guy had this big ball of poison that would just stagger her a lot. So there is an easy mode here, but phase 2 I managed to beam far more than phase 1. And my last hit on Malenia was intense. I just finished hitting her with my fire attack and she was about to unleash hell on me. But then I hit her with a light attack and boom, she dead. I cannot describe the amount of relief I felt in that moment. There are also so many optional bosses that are easily missed and a lot of them are reused. So there are like 4 of that cat boss for example, and the only ones that particularly stand out as bullshit was one magma worm charging right at me when I entered the arena with magma which one-shot me. God, I hate that. The Astels are also really annoying, lots of annoying AoEs and teleporting, that's always frustrating. To conclude the bosses segment, I will just say that some of them definitely feel like they have too much bullshit and will fuck you up like you're nothing, and I never really felt clear on how leveled the game wanted me to be. So at the end game I just grinded to level 140 and finally it felt fair. The bosses and this game is only as hard as you let it be. You could decide to be a strength or dex build and get your ass kicked, or you could be a faith or intellect build and have a nice, relaxing time playing Elden Ring. Here's how PvP was like for me. Yeah, not in this netcode. Maybe I will try it in a month or 2. I do know they fixed the backstab spam, which is really good. Elden Ring is a good game, but Sekiro is better. The music of Elden Ring is amazing. That main menu theme awakens my soul like nothing else has. If you have anxiety, I probably wouldn't recommend this game, since anytime I walk in some of those closed off areas, like catacombs or castles, my heart starts beating irregularly. Elden Ring made the great decision of pretty much eliminating a tedious run back to the boss. You pretty much always have a respawn point right outside the boss arena. That's a great quality of life change. If you like exploration, then this huge map offers plenty of that. If you're like me and don't care about exploration, then Google is a very good friend. Or Fextralife.com, that's the one I use the most. I had a very different experience with Elden Ring than I had with any other Souls game. In other Souls games, I went for a melee-only sword and shield build, where I would actually fight bosses. But in Elden Ring, I found great joy in finding ways to cheese the game, or at least even the playing field. It's a great game. Too bad it's Fromsoftware's last game because they're about to be sued for injecting a lethal amount of salt into the veins of gamers. Especially the ones who have never played a Souls game before. Man, all that hype really fucked them over. I give this game a patches out of spider patches. You might not know what that means. Good, because I don't either. Good game, bad port, that may be patched right now. Maybe enemy design could have used another look. But I recommend Elden Ring. If you want a challenge, then go melee and suffer, or play as a mage and experience a power fantasy. It's your choice. It took me around 95 hours to beat it, so you will be busy for a while. I made this video while pretty sick, so my brain was not completely in full function. We're trying a new treatment for my irritable bowel syndrome, and the diet is being pretty harsh on my psyche right now. All I want in life right now is a gummy bear. Or a cold glass of Coca-Cola. Total War 3 video out soon, and hopefully my brain will be normal. So subscribe for that. Call me Uncle Bryan and have a good day.